Just notice how you feel. Not judging it, just noticing. And then taking a moment to set an intention for your practice. So ask yourself how you want to feel after this yoga class. It can be physical or emotional, whatever it looks like for you. And slowly opening the eyes, staying in that seated position. We're going to do a few neck rolls, so dropping the chin to the chest, and then dropping the right ear to the right shoulder, keeping that chin tucked, feeling a nice stretch along the side of the neck, and then slowly rolling our chin and ear to the left shoulder. And then slowly going back and forth like this, keeping it nice and slow and controlled. Feeling every part of your neck. And then bringing your head back to center. Inhaling our arms up over our head, keeping those shoulders down, looking up to the ceiling. And then exhale, dropping the left hand to the ground as we reach out of our hips with our right hand, keeping those sit bones glued to the ground. And inhale, both of our arms reach up to the sky. Exhale, bringing your right arm to the ground beside your hips, reaching through that left side body. Inhale, arms back up overhead. Exhale, left arm drops, reaching out of those hips. One more time, inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, right hand drops, reaching through our left side. And then coming back to center, bring our left hand to our right knee and our right hand to our left knee. So the right arm is on top. And just grabbing on your knee or your thighs. And we're gonna inhale, lift our chest here. And exhale, round the spine. Chin to chest. Inhale, reach up through the chest, lengthening the spine. Exhale, round the back. One more time, inhaling up the chest. Exhale, rounding the spine. Coming back to center, switching the arms this time. So first bringing your right hand to the left knee, and then your left arm goes over that arm to the right knee. And we're gonna do that a few more times. So inhale, lift the chest here, lift the chin, and exhale, round the spine, bring your chin to your chest. Inhale, we lift our chest, dropping the shoulders down and back, and exhale, round the spine. One more time, inhaling, the chest lifts. Exhale, round the spine. And coming back to center, bringing our left hand to our right knee again, placing our right hand behind our hips, coming to a nice easy twist. So looking over that back shoulder. Lengthening through the spine here as we twist from our torso, keeping the sit bones planted on the ground. And breathing here. And release that twist, coming back to center. This time bringing your right hand to your left knee And taking your left hand, placing it behind those hips on the ground and twisting to the left side. Gaze is over the back shoulder. Sitting nice and tall here. See if you can twist a little deeper with every exhale. And coming back to center, releasing that. Finding our way to child's pose. So bringing our knees out wide to the edges of our mats. Bringing our toes to touch. And then sinking our hips down and back as we let our upper body fall to the ground, resting our chest and our foreheads to the ground. You can always place a pillow or block underneath your hips if you need to. And breathing here. On our next inhale, we're going to shift our weight forward, coming down to our bellies, setting up for cobra pose. So bringing our legs together, our hands coming right under our shoulders, hugging in those elbows to the sides of our bodies. On an inhale, we're going to lift up, pressing into those hands, pressing into the legs to lift our chest, shoulders down and back. And then exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips to downward facing dog. From here, dropping to our knees, coming right into our cow pose. So inhale, lifting our chest, dropping our bellies. And then exhale, rounding the spine and pushing ourselves back to child's pose. So we're going to do a few rounds of that little flow. So from child's pose, inhaling, bringing ourselves down to the ground, placing those hands under the shoulders, lifting up to cobra. Inhaling here. Exhale, tucking the toes, bringing our hips back to downward facing dog. Exhale here. Dropping the knees. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest to our cow pose. Exhale, coming into cat, and then sinking back down to child's pose. Breathing here. And inhale, bringing ourselves down to the ground, setting up for cobra, hands right under shoulders. Inhale, lifting our chest, pressing through those hands. And exhale, tuck the toes, send your hips back to downward facing dog. Dropping our knees to the ground, inhaling, finding our cow pose. Exhale, rounding the spine, chin to chest, and dropping those hips back to child's pose. One more time, we're going to go right away. So coming onto our bellies, hands under our shoulders, inhaling to lift into cobra. Tucking the toes, exhale, lifts us back to downward facing dog. Dropping the knees, inhaling, belly drops, chest lifts. Exhale, rounding the spine and sending our hips back to child's pose. And just taking a few breaths here. Bringing some energy back into our bodies. from here, we're going to tuck our toes again and lift our hips, coming back into our downward facing dog. We're going to hang out here for a few breaths. So making sure the fingers are spread wide, really pressing through all four corners of those palms, lifting our hips to the ceiling. Our belly is melting towards our thighs. Gaze is in between the toes. And you can start to walk out your dog, so bending one knee and then the other. And just doing whatever feels good in this pose. Maybe dropping your heels from side to side. Bending the knees as much as you need to here. And then slowly walking our feet all the way up to meet our hands. Finding a forward fold, staying here, grabbing opposite elbows, and just letting the upper body hang heavy here, bending the knees as much as you need to. Shaking the head, yes and no, releasing the neck. Maybe swaying our upper bodies from side to side. And inhale, we're going to slowly roll all the way up to standing. Bringing our head up last. And finding the top of our mats. Bringing our feet hip-width distance or closer together. Finding our Tadasana, so stacking our hips over our knees, our shoulders over our hips. Our chin is lifted, our shoulders are down and back. Okay? Palms are facing forward. Feel strong in this pose. Ground through those feet, spreading toes wide. Coming back to this moment, remembering to connect your breath with each movement. We're going to inhale, reach our arms up to the ceiling, looking up to those hands. Slight back bend here, core engaged. And exhale, forward fold. Placing our hands on the mat. Picking up that left foot and sending it back. Dropping down to the back knee, coming into our low lunge. So we want to make sure our knee is behind our toes here. Staying on the fingertips, lifting through our chest. And planting those hands, picking up that front foot, bringing it back, stepping into downward facing dog. And inhale, taking the left leg again, stepping the left leg in between those hands, dropping the back knee, coming into low lunge on the other side, staying on the fingertips, lifting through the chest. And exhale, tuck those toes to step that back foot up to meet the front foot, forward fold. Inhale, rolling all the way up to standing, arms reach overhead. And exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Good job. So we're going to go through that a few more times, picking up the pace a little bit. So just follow along as best you can. Inhale, reaching our arms up to the sky. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lifting the left leg, stepping it back, dropping that back knee. Inhaling, our arms reach up. Exhale, plant your hands, taking the front foot, stepping it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, stepping the left foot forward in between the hands, dropping that back knee. Inhale, lifting the arms, reaching up. Exhale, framing that front foot, stepping up to meet that front foot, forward fold. Inhale brings us all the way up, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Flowing through again, so inhale, reaching up to the sky, slight back bend here. Exhale, forward fold, planting those hands, taking the left foot, stepping it back, dropping onto that back knee. Inhaling, our arms reach up, low lunge. Exhale, plant your hands, step that foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, back knee drops. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, rolling all the way up, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to do that one more time. Inhaling, our arms reach up over our head. Exhale, forward fold. Plant those hands, step the left foot back, drop the knee. Inhale, our arms reach up. Exhale, plant your hands, step back, downward dog. Inhale, stepping through with the left foot, dropping that back knee. Inhale, our arms reach up. Exhale, frame the front foot, step up, forward fold. And inhale all the way back to standing. Good, and letting our arms drop, finding our Tadasana again. Taking a few deep breaths here. Feeling the energy through our body. And from here, we're going to come to chair pose. So we're going to drop our hips back into chair pose as we lift our chest and arms here. So making sure you can see the toes in front of your knees. So shifting those hips back. The weight is in the heels of your feet. Reaching up through your chest. Squeezing the legs together. Hugging the core in. Reaching through here. Energy is sending through your tailbone and out through your head. Inhale here. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming to our halfway lift. So hands can be on your shins or the floor or a block. Making that back nice and flat. Bringing the shoulders down and back so there's a slight chest lift here. And exhale, forward fold. One more time like that. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, stepping back into a plank position. Holding here for a few breaths, making sure our shoulders are right over our wrists. Core is engaged, butt is not too lifted or sagging, but it's in a nice straight line. Holding here, and then lowering all the way down to the ground. Planting our hands under our shoulders, inhaling to upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale to downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here, really sending our tailbone up to the sky, our hips back. And we're going to inhale our right leg up to the ceiling, keeping our hips closed. So only bringing your leg up as far as you can without opening that hip. And inhale, we're going to step it through. Coming to crescent lunge, so staying on the ball of that foot, making a 90-degree angle with your front leg. Inhale, lifting our arms here. And dropping our elbows, finding our cactus variation. So this opens our chest, slight back bend in the upper back. Core is engaged here. Opening up the chest, breathing here. And then taking our hands to our hips, stepping the back foot in a little bit, finding our pyramid pose. So we want our hips square to the front foot is facing straight, the back foot is tilted out 45-degree angles, stepping in as far as you need to square those hips. We're going to interlace our fingers behind our backs. Inhale, lifting our chest, bringing our shoulder blades together, core is pulled in here, looking up to the sky. And exhale, folding forward over that front leg. If this is too much for the shoulders, you can always release your bind, placing your fingers on blocks if you have them, or you can place them on your shin or the ground. And just relaxing that head and neck, folding over that front leg, keeping the hips square here. Breathing here for a few more breaths. And then placing those hands down around that front foot, stepping back to find our plank again, lowering all the way down, inhaling to upward facing dog or cobra, and exhale to downward facing dog. Always an option to drop to child's pose at any point throughout the practice. Always listening to your body. Nice deep inhale and exhales through the nose. From here, we're going to inhale our left leg to the sky, keeping those hips square to the ground. So only lifting it as high as keeping their hips closed. And then stepping it through to those hands, finding our crescent lunge, staying on the ball of that back foot, straightening the back leg as best you can. Inhale, lifting our arms, and exhale, dropping our elbows, lifting through our chest here. Breathing here, maybe choosing a point to focus on in front of you. Always option to drop the back knee. And then bringing our hands to our hips, stepping the back foot up a little bit, finding our pyramid pose. So again, front toes pointed straight forward, right toes, the back toes pointed out to the sides a little bit, hips are square, interlacing our fingers behind our backs. Inhale, we're going to lift our chest, coming into a slight back bend, and exhale, folding forward over that front leg, keeping the fingers interlaced or releasing them, letting them drop to the ground. Both legs are straight here. A micro bend in the knees is okay. You don't want to lock out your knees. Hips are square. Neck and head are relaxed. Breathing here, a few more breaths. And then planting the hands on the ground, stepping back, finding your plank pose, lowering all the way through chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's find our child pose. So drop our knees out wide to the edges of our mats, bringing our toes to touch, sinking our hips down and back, letting our chest and head hang heavy on the ground. And coming back to our breath if you lost the connection. Breathing through the nose. few more breaths here. And then finding our way back to downward facing dog. So tucking those toes and lifting the hips. And then from our down dog, we're just going to walk our feet out a little bit, finding a wide-legged downward dog. So keeping our hands where they are, just walking the feet out a little bit, sending those hips back. Toes can be pointed in to get into each other a little bit, finding a parallel with our feet. And then from here, slowly walking our hands back, keeping our chest down, finding our wide-legged forward fold. So adjusting the feet however you like, maybe taking it wider or bringing them closer together. Finding your forward fold here. Releasing the neck and head. Walking the fingertips so they're in line with the toes. And just releasing here. Keeping the weight in the front of our feet. From here, you're going to take your right hand and grab the left leg anywhere that feels good for you, finding that twist. So grabbing anywhere on the leg and then looking over that left shoulder. Keeping a nice forward fold here as we twist. And then walking our hands back to center, this time taking our left hand and grabbing our right leg, coming into a twist here. And then walking our hands back to the center. We're going to walk them forward, finding our high plank again. So however you want to get there. In lowering down, chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. From here, we're going to inhale our right leg to the ceiling. And this time we're going to roll open the hip. So bringing our heel down to our butts, our knees reaching to the sky, trying to stack those hips, keeping both of the hands planted through the ground, trying to square your chest as much as you can. And then we're going to send our leg through, bringing our knee to our wrist, dropping the shin to the ground, finding our pigeon pose. So if this isn't something that you can do in your body, always an option to come to this version of pigeon pose. But if you can, staying in this version, always option to place a block or a pillow under the lifted hip here. And we're going to lift our chest and then exhale, release into this pose. So staying on your hands, coming down to the elbows, or dropping your head down, whatever feels best in your body. Finding your variation, your expression of this pose. But releasing here, wherever you are, sending your breath to the places where there's tension. Few more breaths here. And then lifting back onto our hands, planting those hands, tucking the back foot, and then lifting that leg back into our three-legged downward dog, just to release the hip, and then bringing those feet back together in downward facing dog. Breathing here. And then inhaling the left leg to the sky and rolling open that hip. Stacking those hips. And then sending our leg through, finding pigeon on this side. So knee to left wrist, dropping the leg wherever. So bringing the shin closer in makes it easier. Bringing it out parallel to your mat makes it more difficult. So wherever you feel comfortable, making sure the hips are squared to the ground. Inhale, we lift our chest. And then exhale, we release into this pose, coming as far down as you would like. Remembering to breathe here. And then slowly bringing ourselves back up, planting our hands into the ground, tucking those back toes and lifting that leg through back to three-legged dog, releasing that hip, and then bringing our feet back together, dropping our knees out wide, finding our child's pose here. So taking a few breaths here. And then slowly finding our way down to our bellies again, bringing the legs together. And we're gonna come into some back bend preparation. So you can keep your chest on the ground and grab back with your hand grabbing the leg, or for a little bit more intense stretch coming onto those forearms, placing the left forearm parallel to the front of your mat, making sure the shoulder is right over that elbow, and then reaching back to grab a hold of your foot, or reaching back as far as you can. If you can't grab it, using a strap or whatever prop you want. Lifting through the chest, your shoulders are down into our backs, holding onto that foot, maybe grabbing from the inside, breathing here, and exhale, releasing, coming down onto our bellies, bringing our legs up and dropping them from side to side. And then setting up for the other side. So again, you can keep your chest down on the ground and just reach back for that foot, or coming onto that forearm and reaching back. And then dropping all the way your chest to the ground, turning one cheek to the side. And again, dropping your legs from side to side, releasing that lower back and hip tension. And now bringing your arms down to the side of your body. Palms facing to the ground. We're going to come into some locust. So there are a few variations. Keeping your hands glued to the ground when we lift our chest if you need more support, or lifting your hands. So we're going to first lift our upper body. So inhale, and then on our exhale, we're going to lift our upper body using our core and our back strength to lift our upper body here, keeping the neck nice and long, bringing the shoulders down and back. You can always place your hands on the ground to help you lift, really planting through our legs here. And exhale, lower down, releasing one cheek to the mat. And bringing our head back to center, we're going to lift our upper bodies again, keeping the lower body planted down into the ground to help us lift. So inhaling here, exhale, we lift up. Engaging our glutes and our thighs to help us lift. And exhale, turning our other cheek to the mat. This time setting up for full locust, so we're going to lift our upper body and our lower body at the same time, keeping our hips and lower belly the only parts of our bodies that are touching the ground. So using our back strength, our core strength, leg strength to lift us all the way up through the mat. Always keeping the neck nice and long here. Inhaling, exhale, we lift everything off the mat. Breathing in this position, reaching up, and exhale, dropping down to the ground, lifting our legs, dropping them from side to side. One more time, we're going to find that pose. So really grounding down through those hips, keeping the legs together and the feet together, pulling down and back those shoulders when we lift. So inhale and exhale, lifts us up. Breathing in this pose, lifting through the chest, and exhale, lower down, windshield wiper our legs back and forth. And then pushing ourselves back to our knees. We're gonna sit on our heels. If this isn't comfortable, always placing a pillow or a block in between the thighs and the heels, or sitting back here. And we're just gonna lean back, bringing our hands behind our hips, and then going back as far as you would like, maybe lowering onto those forearms for a nice quad stretch here. Maybe rocking our hips back and forth, stretching out our ankles. And then walking ourselves back up, lifting all the way up to our knees, stacking our hips right over our knees, they're hip width distance apart. Hands placed on the hips, we're gonna extend our left leg out to the side, pointing the toes, making sure they're coming straight out from our hips. We're gonna inhale our arms up, and exhale, bend to the other side. So bending away from that leg. Hips, hands can stay on the hips, or they can come down to the floor or block. Stretching our arm over our head, lifting our chest to the ceiling. And exhale, bring ourselves back up to center, bringing that knee back down to the ground, coming to the other side. So extending that right leg, pointing the toes, coming straight out from the side of our hips. Inhale, our arms reach up over our head. And exhale, bending over to the opposite side. Breathing here, core is engaged. And exhale, lifts us back to center. Bring our knees back down to the ground. So we're going to do a little exercise to help us prepare for camel pose, which is our peak pose today. So really want to engage our quads here and our core, lifting through the chest and engaging the glutes as well. So we're going to hinge our bodies back, keeping ourselves in a straight line, pinching back as far as we can go. You're going to feel it in your quads, and then exhaling back to center. So keeping one straight line in your body, leaning back as far as you can, really engaging the core here, glutes, the quads, and lifting back up. So doing this a few times, lifting through the chest, top of feet planting through the ground. A few more times like this, really engaging the core here. And then back to center. So we're going to set up for camel pose. So first we're going to start by, you can just watch me first and then we'll do it together. So first we're going to come back into that pose, and then we're going to lift through the chest, making an arch through the upper back. So this is an upper back bend pose, but you don't want to sink into that lower back. So really keep that front line engaged, and then lift through the chest, keeping our hands on our hips, or if you want to reach down to your heels, you can, but really lifting through the spine, opening up the chest here. So leaning back, core is engaged, front line, and then lifting the chest here, keeping the hands on the hips, or lowering them down to the heels, lifting through the chest. And exhale, coming back to center, maybe rocking those hips back and forth. We're gonna come and do that one more time. So if this is really hurting your lower back, then don't do it, just stay in this position and just try to lift your chest open, but really engaging the core here. So we're gonna arch back one more time, lean back, and then lift through that chest to open our upper back, pushing the hips forward once we get here. Inhaling here. And exhale, slowly coming back up. Bringing our feet down, opening our knees wide, finding our child's pose. Letting the upper body hang heavy on the mat. Returning to your breath. And then slowly finding our way down to our backs. So getting there any way you would like. Slowly lowering all the way down to our backs. We're going to come into a supine tree pose. So bringing your right foot to the inside of your thigh or your shin, wherever feels comfortable. Maybe bringing it to a lotus pose. Just finding your variation, letting your arms hang down by your side. And just breathing here. From here, extending the arms out to the side, we're going to lift that knee, keeping it wherever it is, and drop it over to the other side of our body, looking to the right hand, knee drops to the left. Slowly rolling back to the center, bring both of our knees to our chest, hugging our legs here, and just gently rocking side to side. And then releasing both of the legs down to the ground, setting up for tree pose on our backs on the left side, so bringing the left foot into the side of our thigh or calf, or maybe half lotus, whatever version is best for your body. And relaxing the arms and everything onto the mat. And then from here, lifting that knee, bringing it over your body to the right side, extending the left arm, looking over to those left fingertips, making sure both shoulders stay glued to the mat, finding your twist here. And slowly coming back to center, bringing both of our knees to our chest, hugging our legs, rocking side to side. And then from here, we're going to come into our plow position. So bringing our knees to our chest, and then we're going to lift our hips up and bring our feet back over our heads, dropping our feet to the ground if we can reach it. If not, keeping our feet up and just lifting those hips up, keeping the hands on your back for support. If you can, walk your feet out, lengthening the neck here. Maybe bending the knees, bringing them into the ears. Maybe massaging your temples with your knees. And then if you have a shoulder stand in your practice, making your way there, maybe just lifting one leg at a time. Using those hands on your back to support that low back, pressing the elbows and the upper arms into the mat, reaching through the toes. core is engaged here. From here, you can play around with your legs. Do whatever you like. Lifting through the hips. And then slowly lowering all the way down to the ground, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down. Our legs lower down last. And let your feet hang out wide, arms resting by our sides, letting everything go, relaxing into our final pose, releasing everything. Slowing down the breath. Keeping our mind nice and quiet. Relaxing every part of the body. Bringing your attention to each body part as I speak it. Relaxing deeply into that place. Starting at the feet, so relaxing the toes and the ankles, your shins, calves. Relax your knees and your thighs. Relax your hamstrings and your hips. Relax your glutes. And feel the weight of your lower body on the mat. Everything is relaxed. Relaxing your low back and your low belly, your rib cage and your middle back. Relaxing your chest and your shoulders, upper back. Relaxing your upper arms, elbows, forearms. Relax your wrists and all 10 fingers. Relaxing your neck and your throat, your jawline, your cheeks and your eyes, your eyebrows, your forehead, your whole head, your upper body is relaxed. Feel the weight of your whole body, deeply relaxed. Slowly start to bring some awareness back into your body, wiggling the fingers and the toes, rolling our ankles and wrists. Staying nice and slow with your body. Reaching our arms over our head, stretching our feet down, and then rolling onto your favorite side, resting your head on your arm, bringing your knees up into your belly, maybe resting your forehead on the mat, connecting to the earth. And then when you're ready, bringing yourselves up into a seated position, keeping your eyes closed. And bringing our hands together, bringing them to our heart center. And thanking your body for showing up today and every day. Thanking yourself for taking this time to take care of yourself. And remembering to always go back to your breath to bring us into the moment. Bringing our hands up to our third eye. Bringing this sense of relaxation into the rest of our day, the rest of our week. I acknowledge the light in all of you,